And now, for a moment of clarity.
Why can't the Democrats pick one or two nominees that truly jeopardize the country? Maybe it's Hegseth, maybe it's Gabbard, maybe it's Patel. Why can't they get together and draw a line somewhere and at least slow down what they've described for 9 years as a slow roll toward autocracy?
Oh, Nicole, right now, I'm like boiling inside listening to you describe the reality of this political moment, because that's what it is. The thing that I find so stunning is that Democrats have never realized that this is a political moment. They think that somehow we're still playing the 1980s, Ronald Reagan and a Tip O'Neill kind of kumbaya moment. Yeah, we skirmish here and there, but in the end, we're going to have a little toast with some bourbon or some good whiskey and call it even. No, that's not what this is. And Christy's exactly right. I don't understand what the DOJ is going to be arguing. You will never see what Jack Smith wrote in second volume. You will never hear it. You will never see it. Why? Because it all goes away on January 20th. You've got the Senate. Yes, the number, even 56 senators being Republican, you got at least 2 or 3 that you can work with and move the needle to sort of get some things done. Number one. Number two, use the system. You know the rules. I mean, you watch Mitch McConnell slap you around every time he's been majority leader, just without hesitation. Just go and say, no, we're not doing that. Oh, you want that appointee? Guess what? Not getting it. Right? We're going to hold it up. We're going to make you pay a political price for it. And yet we're sitting here. I mean, again, I very much respect Hakeem Jeffries, very much excited about his leadership, but you do not hand over the gavel and say, oh, yeah, we're putting down our swords and picking up our bipartisan plowshares. They're going to shove those plowshares up your behind. That's the goal here. That's the politics. These Republicans are not designed to work with you. They have spent a generation plotting for this moment. They've spent a generation trying to upend the work that a lot of us worked very hard to put in place to try to govern. It's why we never came up to a repeal and replace solution. All we could do was the slogan, because it was enough to move the political needle the way where we wanted it to move. Then the policy requirement that you actually do something, whatever. Oh, infrastructure every day for 4 years? That wasn't the goal. It was the narrative. It was the politics of making everyone else jump through hoops. So I don't know what to tell you. Next, I don't know what the Democrats are going to do, because they don't know what they're going to do. I mean, Adam Schiff, seriously, that's your response? Well, I really don't think we should, expose the system in any way that could, be detrimental to the system. The guys on the other side want to blow the system up, and you're worried about your actions being detrimental? That's not how you protect the system. So I don't know, Nicole. These guys, I've never seen anything like it. A political operation that is oxymoronic in its term, because they're not an operation and they're not political. I don't get it.
The Sixth Sense is one of my favorite movies, and it's encapsulated our politics for so long. The norms are dead, and you've got one party that's proud of it, and that is in and of itself norm busting on the right, but you've got the other party that still doesn't know it, and that is, in some moments, also a threat.
And that you just summed up the 2024 election, and how voters feel at that moment then, and how a lot of us are going to feel going forward. The reality is in front of you. Just see it for what it is. And to Christy's point, if you have tools to confront that reality, use them. That's okay. The norms have been reduced to rubble in many cases. Look at our judicial system and how it was manipulated and delayed and used against itself to keep Donald Trump from being held accountable. In the face of a Supreme Court that has given him absolute power, the only tool you have left is your ingenuity and your political gumption. And if you lack either one of those, and in this case, I think the Democrats lack both, that's why Pam Bondi can sit there in that hearing and absolutely ignore and refuse to answer and just pretend. And there was no outcry. There was no calling out her behavior. The same with what we saw in the other hearing with, what's his name? I'm blanking right now, for Attorney General, Hegseth. So the reality of it is these guys know how to come at the game because they know there's not going to be the pushback. And that's the problem.
Do you still think that maybe Tulsi Gabbard or RFK Jr. might have some problems?
Oh, they have problems, but the Republicans don't care about their problems, just like they don't care about the fact that Kristi Noem isn't qualified to be in the role they're putting her up for, nor is Pete Hegseth. But they will bow and say yes and pass their nomination. She will not control the immigration policy of this country. She has the title. And this is typical in Trump world for women. You have the title, but I don't know how much power you're really going to have, because Holman is the one who's going to call the shots. Donald Trump specifically selected him for a purpose. And Stephen Miller is a part of that purpose as well. And so they're going to drive this immigration policy, this deportation policy. And so, Senator Kim was exactly right to ask the question, to get it on the record. And she could not answer it in a way that would not displease Donald Trump, because we know what's going on there. With respect to Hegseth and the others, look, the bottom line is the things about him, the allegations of his lewd behavior, his drunkenness, all of that didn't matter, because that's not germane to what they need him there for. And so this is going to be the setup for what is going to come on the back end with the more controversial picks. And I think you'll just see Republicans kind of, backslide away from, really addressing the problem in front of them, because they don't want to be on the wrong side of Donald Trump. And therefore, they will nod and patch, just as we saw with Hegseth. Every time the Democrats level up the charge, they will submit into the record a prepackaged response with a letter or some article that, confirms that individual to be of right character and mind.
Catch Michael Steele on The Weekend, Saturdays and Sundays, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on MSNBC.